Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, it's Sejohn Sarowick. How you doing, Sejohn?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on this weekend?
It's been a crazy week. I am feeling good. I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling good. I've just kind of been basking in the whole 500 episodes of it all, and I'm wearing my kit again, which, Sejohn, I'm a little disappointed, because for most of the week, I had a title for this episode. I was ready for what I wanted to call this episode, but then something happened this morning, and now you're gonna get to decide. So I just sent you a photo of myself. It's the photo that will be representative of episode 501, and I believe what will be the title of this episode. So if you go ahead and click on that spoilered photo I just sent to you, that would be great.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. So we're going to go with that. We're going to go with the other option, right? Sejohn knows right now, and I'm going to tell the other option is I don't care for pepper jack cheese. Devon Decker. Because I tried the new pepper jack cheese sauce at Taco Bell on Tuesday, and then I proceeded to have a miserable day. Like, I just don't like pepper jack cheese. That's just the fact of the matter.
Do you normally you do spicy food?
I do spicy foods. I don't really like peppers. Like, peppers are a food that I'm not a big fan of in general. And I just didn't realize how much like actual pepper is in the pepper jack cheese.
Okay.
But
man, you got to do one of them like FODMAPs and figure out like what like maybe peppers just like really fuck with your system in a way.
Well, all I know is that I ate that pepper. I ate that pepper jack cheese burrito, which is weird. It's like a steak. It's a $3 steak burrito that like has pepper jack cheese sauce. Like, it's not even pepper jack cheese straight. Like, it's some sort of sauce developed in the Taco Bell test kitchen.
By those lab coats there at
right?
Taco
like,
Bell. Yeah.
Well, we can't make a shelf-stable pepper jack cheese to ship out to all of the stores, but we've designed this sauce that will last for 87 years. Yeah, well, you know what's good is that we're talking about fast food, and that ties into what the title of this episode will actually be. I should maybe have it mapped out, figure it out. We were talking about things, and I forgot. Oh, as soon as I ate it, I, like, violently vomited. And I could taste it the whole rest of the day. And then, like, in the morning when I was brushing my teeth, I, like, coughed, and I coughed up a full, like, pepper piece. And I'm like, this really lasted on me. This is the Say Report, people. I guess I'm being gross now in the opening. But as everybody knows what the actual episode that we chose for 501 is, because it's the episode, you downloaded it, you're listening to it. If you glance at your phone, your iPod, your computer right now, you'll see that we went with Now Hiring Urgently. Because I went by to McDonald's this morning. I wanted to try the honey brown butter sauce because it's been discontinued. And I'm a big fan of brown butter. Is awful, though. It was kind of spicy. And I think that probably has to do with, like, the honey that they're using for all the sauces at the McDonald's is probably just contaminated. Because they also have hot honey things. So, like, I bit my honey brown butter breakfast sandwich, which is a biscuit with bacon, a folded egg, and American cheese, and then a generous helping of the sauce. And it was spicy, and that's not really what I expect from brown butter. I'm not wrong on that one, right? Like, that's...
Well, no. Not brown butter. It wouldn't imply, but in fact, quite the opposite, because it is a rendered fat.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. So that was a bit of a moment taking a bite of that sandwich, but I wanted, and only one of them had it, and turns out the reason that they probably have that honey brown butter sauce left at the McDonald's in the center of town is because they just don't have enough people working there. So they're not serving as many sandwiches as all of the other places around that are sold out of it. Because not only are they are hiring urgently. That's an indicator of the country, right? I don't want to be like hyper political, but when McDonald's is not just now hiring, but now hiring urgently. Like, what
Yeah.
the
Well, I
fuck
was
does that
actually
mean? Like,
I was actually thinking about this exact thing this week because there was this kind of moment where I realized as I drove around that like every every one of these, especially franchises, like specifically like McDonald's, Burger King, those kinds of places, they basically just have permanent now hiring signage up. Right? Like when did that happen? Where like they basically figured out that it was more beneficial to them to just consistently just have people sending in, because the truth of the matter is they're not all always hiring. You can put in an application and it'll go to the manager, but if the manager isn't really interested in hiring right now, they don't have to. And it's like, it's this thing that's happened kind of in the job market where like companies have started to just kind of lie, like I don't know any other way to talk about it. Because like the number of fake job postings or the number of job postings that are up there in order to like present some type of hiring numbers, but then they're not actually ever hiring for that position, or they've intended to give it to somebody on the inside, but for some reason or another they need to put it out there, so they're just not going to look at any of the applications that come in because they've already got somebody in mind that they want to give it to. So like there's a lot of that sort of shit going on, and so like to see the shift though, like you're saying, implies that the tap has run dry in that regard, because I know that like McDonald's was probably getting thousands of applications on the reg, because like like it's a starter job, it's an easy place to go in, and for them to kind of you've got some this is going to sound worse than I mean it, but they're going to have some lower standards than a lot of other places in terms of hiring. So it's easier to get in if you're like, maybe you don't have a car. I think it's one of the few places where they don't really hold you to like you having reliable transportation or something like that. Every application wants to know if you own a vehicle. And it's like, what if I live in the middle of a city where like driving is not a necessity? Like,
yeah,
no.
But do you own a vehicle? Do you own two vehicles? So in case one of your vehicles is out of commission, you could use your other vehicle to get in here. Yeah, it's nuts. It's broken. But like but
people are giving up, man.
Oh yes, truly, people are giving up. I drive by a sign that says now hiring urgently. I imagine if I walk into that McDonald's, they're like, here's an apron. You now are working. Like, that's one of those situations where, yeah. And I'm glad that you bring up starter jobs, because I have a couple of funny stories from my adventures yesterday that one of them ties to that, like, very succinctly. But I'd like to stick with your, like, when did that happen? I mean, and I'm not blaming it. I think that the Affordable Care Act is probably some of the most important legislature that passed in the United States of America in our lifetimes. But with the Affordable Care Act, that is when I started to notice the constant hiring barrage, where everywhere I went had a now hiring sign. And it's twofold. There's two reasons why that would be something I notice. I had just sort of stopped working on ships around that time. So like looking for work, you notice places that are hiring. And I temped for a while and things like that. I mean, do temp jobs still exist? Because I feel like no. I just feel like that went away.
I think like in some major industries, there's probably some specific players that are still around, where if you, in a sense, substitute teaching is a temp job, right? Like that kind of thing. So like, I'm sure in certain fields, it's still a thing, but it's not like it used to be where like you could go on to like Craigslist and just look for like a temp agency to go work for.
Yeah.
And then like, you'd find like 5 or 6 in the area that were worth checking out.
Yeah, I worked, like, one of the things I did my month at Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm like, I cannot continue to work as an overnight baker at Dunkin' Donuts. So I applied to a bunch of temp agencies, and I got it. And, like, my job with the state came from temping for the state of Rhode Island, which that just feels like a huge scam, because then they're charging what they pay state workers, but then only giving me, I think I was making $11 an hour at the time. But then the other side of that coin is that 2010, which again, that's when the Affordable Care Act, like the early stuff of it went into effect. In 2010, you had like young adults could stay on family plans until 26. Insurance companies could not drop you because you're suddenly sick. And any children with health problems could get coverage. That started in 2010 before the full rollout of the ACA in 2014. But
Well, and keeping the idea of your health plan tied to your job, and just going back to the hiring of it all,
yeah,
like now everybody in the country over the age of 21 was required to have health care, right?
yes.
And so like everybody needed to have some form of employment because that's really the only way you can get healthcare in this country. Like the idea of going for privatized healthcare in any fashion as like just a casual thing to do sounds insane to me.
Oh, yeah. Like, one of the reasons, like, the fact that employers have to offer healthcare to their workers is one of the things where, like, so I guess I'm never starting a business because that just seems insane. And I know that, like, they pay into it and the whole, like, structure of it, but still, like, having to ensure, like, I've worked adjacent to, like, healthcare. Like, that was one of
the
first jobs
the most evil
I did.
part, man.
Oh, yeah. It's very broken. But like what I also saw is Dale in 2010, she was 16 years old. And in this household, it was very much once you're able to get a job, get a job. Now, that extended to 16 because like I got a job when I was 13 years old. And I'm not sad about having started working at 13 years old. In fact, it helped me engage better with the world. Because I'm sorry.
Young Devon did yearn for the mines.
No, but like school just felt like it was for school. It didn't feel like how to be part of our society. Which, like, schools don't need to be beat up anymore. But that's a problem. That's a real deficiency that I feel in our school program. Both private and public. It really feels like school is there to prepare you only for school. And that's fucked up.
That's called teaching to the test.
Yeah.
No,
and
100%, man.
It truly is. But by the time Dale was old enough to work, she was 16 years old. And it was hard for her because all she'd hear from my father was, what do you mean everywhere I go is hiring? And that's because everywhere had now hiring signs. And she could blanket the world with applications. And she did. Dale did not start working until she was 18 years old. And part of that was, at the time, there was an influx of employees from people who suddenly needed to have a job, right? And all of these companies, because if they're part-time, you're not responsible for giving them health insurance. But as soon as they become a full-time worker, it becomes the responsibility of the employer. If they're part-time, they can qualify for, government-assisted health care and the like. So
the other nail in the coffin on all of this was that with the crisis, the economic crisis in 2008,
the 2010
2010 was definitely still seeing the effects of people getting kind of knocked down a notch in the social strata, as it were. You had a lot of people that were like middle class workers that were perfectly happy working in a cubicle that suddenly didn't have jobs, and the only places that they could get in was this place. And if you're an employer, like looking at two employees in front of you, you got a 16-year-old kid who's never worked a day in his life, and you've got a 40-year-old guy that's been working for 20 years for a major company that just went under, like, you kind of probably lean towards the like more reliable worker, right? Like, on the other hand, maybe you don't, because like the kid you think is easier to push around. It really depends on what kind of shitty manager you are.
Well, I remember one of the situations, I may have told this story on the show before. Like, I worked at Radio Shack, and I was hired to work at Radio Shack while I was working at Blockbuster. They were right next to each other. And straight up, I was not seasonal hiring or anything like that. I was specifically hired because they had an opening, and I already knew how the Radio Shack worked anyway, because I was friends with all those guys. So I got hired when they had an opening. But then, for Christmas, they had hired a bunch of, seasonal help. And then when it came time to let them go, the manager sat me down, and she's like, so we're going to let you go. And I'm like, oh, is there a problem? She's like, no, in fact, I'm kind of upset about it. But one of the seasonal workers, she has like a family, and this is how she provides for them. I know you have a second job at Blockbuster in addition to all of the other side gigs that know you're randomly picking up. Like, at one point, before I was 18 years old, I had 4 simultaneous jobs that all paid.
Yeah.
So like, and that was one of those moments, like, I don't think you would ever see that in 2026, which is really sad just to like say that. Like a company saying, this person needs this job, and I know that you don't need this job, so we're going to hold on to this person, even though you are the better fit for this job. And it's like, no, of course. And so, like, I stayed on good terms with them and all of that. But it's one of those situations that happened to me. But then after seeing the whole, well, we could train up the next generation of workers, right, by hiring this 16-year-old and do it. Or we could get a person who has experience not flipping hamburgers. They've never worked at a fast food establishment before, but they really also need this job. The 16-year-old probably has parents who are helping out. The guy in his 40s who's been working in corporate America for 20 years, who's suddenly unemployed, he's hungrier.
Yeah.
It's just kind of gross when you think about it. And I think that like the loss of starter jobs is a kind of a contributing factor to where like people don't seem to know things anymore. Like about like you get out of college and you don't know how to work. Because again, all of education has basically been training you just for the test.
Yeah. I mean, look, you really want to get down the rabbit hole on it. We threw the baby out with the bathwater in a lot of ways when we started whittling away at all the social programs in this country. Because while people were so focused on trying to stop the large amounts of government spending, which never happened, or we had these personal grudges against the kind of people they saw using those programs, blah blah blah, forgetting that there was probably millions of people they didn't see that were using them every day for the one person that they did see misusing it,
or forgetting the fact that all of our corporations are not registered in the United States to skirt our tax laws.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But what we did is we took the entire structure out from underneath of so there's no ground floor to start on any longer, right? There's no starter jobs, there's no starter houses, there's not even really starter schools. There's not really like a good college you can go to these days and be guaranteed a well-rounded but also at the same time, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the same kind of education that you could get at other schools. The idea of going to a state school meant that you were always going to get a well-rounded education, and it was going to be pretty bland across the whole country what you were learning at these places, because it was just pretty straightforward what they were going to teach, right? Like a state-run liberal arts college in Rhode Island was probably going to be touching on the same stuff that you were going to get in Kentucky, was probably going to be touching on the same stuff you were going to get in Missouri and stuff like that. And then slowly that started to eke away, and now we can't get kids ready anywhere, in any field. Like we can't teach them, we can't learn them to work, we can't house them anywhere, because we took away all of this social programming in place that nobody really thought about the people that do use that. And I don't mean nobody. Obviously, people have been very vocal over the years about this.
They have,
it's not that nobody thought this, but I'm talking to the people that maybe never thought about this before, or or worse, were like totally for this sort of shit. Is like we just completely ruined anybody's chance to get going in this country. It's why kids now live at home until they're 30, and even then they don't even really have a place to go when they get out of the house. A lot of people are ending up in some pretty bad situations in that regard. Like it's just it's really, really upsetting and unfortunate.
Yeah, I think like one of the most outdated things to me in 2026 is this idea that like you're 18 years old, go out and start your life. Because there's no possible way to do that.
Right.
You don't have to
get a job. You can travel, or you can join a fucking band and live in squalor for a couple of years, or go into the city and find yourself. None of that shit is possible. And in a lot of ways, a lot of that shit was it ever really in this country?
Yeah, that's
a hell
a
of
good
a lot
point.
easier when you had things like guaranteed welfare and stuff like that.
Well, you had something to catch you. Like, you had a bit of a safety net if you're out there and you can't do it, right? Like the whole, oh, you can eat ramen noodles argument. And it's like, yes, we could eat ramen noodles. However, we were also making a wage that meant something, right? Like, we ate ramen noodles so that we could save the money that we were making. Now, even if we eat ramen noodles, the money that you take home doesn't amount to what it used to in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's just sad. I think about that. And then I think about, okay, so like we're talking starter jobs. Yesterday, I was hanging out with some friends and they had to buy a toy for a birthday party, right? We're going to go to this toy store and we went to like an old school toy store. I'm going to give the name of it, but only because it was a hilarious exchange accidentally happened. And that's the name of the toy store is Park Street Toys. And so we're like, we went out and we're like, oh, we got to stop by Park Street Toys. And I jokingly said, but remember, it's actually on Main Street. Park Street Toys is actually on Main Street. I did not know that when I said it. I just was like, that's the type of fucking world we live in now. And I got to tell you, there ain't no Park Street around Park Street Toys at all. Like, it's not like the street that runs perpendicular to Main Street, right? Where you like would take the turn is called Park Street, but its official street address is still like Main Street. No, Park Street Toys is on Main Street.
Is it like a second location for a place that is on a Park Street somewhere else in the state or something?
Honestly, I could find no further information as to why it's called Park Street. I
just fuck with Devon Decker. That's
like,
all it is.
And I mean, like, it was kind of funny because I'm like, and remember, it's on Main. And she goes, yeah, that's right, it is. And I'm like, what? I was kidding. And yeah, so we go into this place, and it was nice, like one of those old school like toy stores, like not necessarily FAO Schwartz and Home Alone 2. But like that sort of idea where it's not just, you know, Mattel and Hasbro marketing everywhere. Like we walked into a house. It was a 2-story house. The upstairs was all used books. The downstairs, each of the rooms was dedicated to something. So there was like the Nerf room. There was a book room where all the books were new. There was a game room. There was like the small collectibles room. They had like Barbies in there and Hot Wheels. Like it was a good time. They also had essentially the part in the arcade where, you know, for 5 tickets you can get this whistle that looks like a frog. And to see the prices of those things against how much it would cost me to get the 5 tickets for that frog whistle, that may have broken my brain, Sejohn. Gotta tell you, looking for a McDonald's that's now hiring urgently so I can keep my frog whistle, like, have it going. But yeah, so we go in, and it was Reagan. I was with Reagan, and she's like, "I'm gonna get a silent indoor basketball," which, like, kids today, imagine having a silent basketball you could use inside, Sejohn. That would have been awesome. I'd be in the NBA if I were afforded the same privileges that modern children have. The ability to dribble indoors without upsetting your parents? Sign me up. No, I would. There's no way I would be in the NBA. I am not tall enough at all.
Yeah, height would be the main issue.
Yeah, ow, come on. I mean, I was an athlete up until when I broke my ankle. I played sports. Hockey primarily. And there's a lot of crossover between hockey and basketball, right? The skates alone. I'm losing myself on this whole line. But we buy that, and then we're checking out, and the girl behind the counter, and I say girl because if she was older than like 14, 15, 16 years old, and you told me that, I'd be like, you're a goddamn liar. That is a child who is working at this toy store. I'm talking like the Belchers behind the counter. But it's nice, right? It's nice seeing like a young person working a job. And she's got to be super happy working at a toy store, right? I imagine like that's got to be the Blockbuster or the Radio Shack of the modern world, is like an independent toy store. Right?
No,
So
it's that sounds very quaint.
yeah, it was nice. But so she rings it up and everything, and then Reagan goes, and you guys do gift wrapping, right? And that poor cashier's face, Sejohn, like dropped. Like, I knew this day was gonna come. I knew that gift wrapping was part of this. But I was not prepared. So she goes, yeah, we could do it. So she takes the ball, and it's a ball, but in a box. So it is an awkward shape. It's like those little things that you balance on. I don't know what are they just called balance boards? Like they
like
kind of look
board,
like Saturn. And that, so that's what it looks like in that, with like the box is the part that you'd put your feet on. So she takes it over to the gift wrapping station. She's like, oh, we have like some papers. I don't know which one you want. And so Reagan's like, I'll take those ones. That's good. And then we sit there as she gift wraps it. And it felt like 20 minutes, and it's fine, right? Like, there's stuff to look at. We're having a good time. We're not upset. There's no other customers that we're holding up at the time. And then she brings it over, and it's wrapped. And I gotta say, it's a pretty good wrapping job. I want to make sure everybody knows I am not putting this young woman on blast at all. Devon Decker has been wrapping presents in aluminum foil since he was 10 years old. Sejohn can attest to it because he's gotten numerous aluminum foil wrapped gifts from Devon Decker. And I gotta tell you, right, you sit down there, you're laughing at me, it's a gift you get twice, right? Because you save that aluminum foil, that's a baked potato, baby. Right? How are you going to make a baked potato before you unwrapped my complete works of Shakespeare book? You weren't.
No, you're right. You are my main source of aluminum foil. That is true.
You are not the first person to say that to me. I need you to know that. And then, like, other people are like, isn't it expensive? A tube of wrapping paper, minimum $5. A roll of aluminum foil, I can get them for $2 at almost any store. And that right there is going to wrap minimum 8 gifts. Right? Because you don't have to go crazy. You're literally just wrapping to the item specification.
No, man, you gotta go to like the Dollar Tree and get like the 99-cent rolls of wrapping paper that like tear in half if you look at them the wrong way.
I mean, let's be honest, the Dollar Tree, avoiding the whole fact that there have been numerous accounts of women shopping there and people coming up behind them and just jizzing on them. Like, this is a thing that is going on. This is a real epidemic in the country. Is multiple stories about I was in the Dollar Tree and this guy was following me around. And then it turned out this. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to this. It could just be a trend. But, like, when you see multiple people talking about it, and it's like a whole, like, maybe don't go to the fucking Dollar Tree anymore. And not just because they're poorly managed. Not just because they ain't nothing that costs $1 at the Dollar Tree anymore. But there's a real chance you could be sexually assaulted. Like, I gotta pay it some, like, heed. Right? But, like, yeah, that's the other thing, though. You go to the Dollar Tree, you're not paying $1 for that wrapping paper anymore, Sejohn. Aluminum foil prices have stayed around $2 for the last 20-some-odd years. And now that I've talked about it on the show, they're going to go up, and I apologize to everybody for that. But, yeah, so that's...
tariffs announced.
Yeah, right. Like, specifically, who knows? It's on aluminum. It's aluminium, as they say.
But only Devon will have to pay.
I hear that he wraps everything in it. It's going to stimulate the economy. Just the wrapping paper for Devon Decker alone. But yeah, so she brings it over and it's wrapped, right? There's no way to look at this item and know that it is a Nerf inside silent basketball. And she hands it to Reagan and goes, "This is awful." And it's like, no, it's not. It's wrapped. It looks fine. Like, no, don't break because of this. Like, you did it. It looked good. It looked better than anything I could do. And everybody's like, Devon, you just admitted that you've been wrapping in aluminum foil for the past 30 years. 2001, I joined the Interact Club, where we did, like, volunteering. And I volunteered to go down to wrap presents at the Providence Place Mall for charity, right? Like $1 an item, and all that money went to charity. And my job after the first, I'm going to say 20 minutes there, and that's being generous, was to bring people over. Devon Decker won't wrapping any more presents after Devon Decker's first wrapping job. And I don't think that would have happened to the clerk at the independent toy store that is named after the street that it is not on.
Excellent.
So that was funny, but it was just like the way she broke it is just like, but you know what? I certainly hope that that's a moment for that woman where she's like, this is the first time I wrapped a gift. Because I don't know about you, but every time I do like tasks that I was not a fan of, straight up, you know what the task is for me? And it's a task. I do it every day. I now have to do this every day. And I get a small victory every single time. Do you want to take a guess, Sejohn? It's not going to the bathroom. Get your head out of the toilet.
I have no idea.
I mean, I've given you the panopticon of human experience to choose from. You're telling me you can't narrow it down to one thing, Sejohn? No, I'm fucking with you.
Food?
It is drawing the number 8. Like, just straight up, the number 8 when I was a young boy was my Everest. I just didn't get... How do you do a number 8, Sejohn? This is good. This is good for an audio medium. How do you make a number 8? I'm serious.
So you're asking, do you do like the 1-line or the 2-line method, right? Like, that's really the only 2 ways I know how to do it. Would be like 2 circles or making 1 line infinite style.
Yeah.
And I tend to do the latter, but I get weird with my handwriting because I don't like my handwriting, and so there are times where like I will, on a like total whim, completely just like try something different with my handwriting, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. But my signature, let's just say that my signature at this age is not what it was not even 5 years ago, never mind like 20.
Understandable. I get it. I mean, especially like cursive writing's on the outs anyway. So like your signature, what does it really mean anymore? Now they care more about your biometrics, Sejohn.
Well, and I started doing a lot of drafting when I was, doing a lot more like design style work, and it's very common in that world to just use all capitalization, so there's also something to that where like, because I just did that for so long that I became part of my whole handwriting thing. But I can get it. You getting caught on something is, and then like, you get the yips, right? Like you can't get over it, and you just kind of make yourself do worse each time.
Yeah, so it was one of those situations where I just didn't know how. I could not fathom 8. Like I assumed that it had to be like the snowman, like you're building a snowman, larger bottom circle, slightly smaller top circle, and I always hated how it looked when I did that. And I remember I was in like it was kindergarten. It was a kindergarten course. And like 8 was still like, I did not know how to do the number 8. And I was like reading and everything else. And just the number 8 was, I didn't get it. And so then it was like the day in my kindergarten class, I went to a place called the Northwest Child Development Center, which if that doesn't feel like I was in the MK Ultra program, fucking nothing else could. Right? Like, what the hell is the Northwest Child Development Center? And why was the Northwest Child Development Center, Sejohn, located in Massachusetts on the East Coast? It's north, but it's not west. So I don't know. I just don't.
Was it the northwest of Massachusetts?
Possibly. We could look at a map of Massachusetts and see where Leominster is. Why don't you do that while I tell the story? That'll be something fun. But so I go there, and what we did in kindergarten was like at 10 o'clock every day, we did like a test on today we're doing the letter A. And we would do a whole like unit, and it'd be like a half-hour unit on the letter A, making sure that our penmanship on A's were good, identifying the words that start with A, that type of stuff. And so we got through the whole alphabet, right? There's 26 classes, and then we start on the numbers, and I always participated because I like to learn, right? And even though I was like pretty good with my letters and my numbers, I would always participate in that because it's just like, it's a way to learn about something. You don't love your penmanship, I don't love my penmanship. My numbers are the only thing that I'm actually proud of. To tie back into this whole story,
Northeast, unfortunately.
It is the Northeast. Yeah, man, I don't know why the fuck it was called the Northwest Child Development Center. I don't know, but I know that mom got a job there teaching the 5-year-olds, and it was to get me into this preschool for free. Right? Remember the sacrifices that your parents did for you, everybody, because that was one that my mother did, and it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. So then in kindergarten, I always attended, but then it came the 8 day. It was like the day to do 8. And what you could do rather than like participate in essentially like the letter cram session is you could go read quietly. Like there was a whole like book section and you could take a book, and there were kids who legitimately used that every day to go read. And it's the number 8, and I'm like, well, I'm going to opt out of this one. I'm going to go read. And you would have thought I set a bomb off at this freaking preschool. Like people were freaking out like, why doesn't Devon want to participate in this one? And like it became like a big deal. Like I had to sit down with a bunch of teachers, which is not fun when you're like 5 years old. Like I know that I said that my mother taught 5-year-olds. There was a 5-year-old room and there was a kindergarten room. And that's because in the state of Massachusetts, unlike say the state of Rhode Island, if you're born after September in a year, like you're held back before you can start attending like numbered classes. So basically, my mother taught all of the 5-year-old students who were born after September in that classroom. So my mother was never my teacher. But yeah, like it was like a sit down, like why didn't you want to participate in this? And that's scary, right? Like that's a scary thing to happen to a 5-year-old. And I'm just like, I just don't know how to draw 8s, and I was embarrassed about that, so I decided to go read. Which, first of all, thank goodness for 5-year-old Devon Decker just being blunt about it and like not telling the truth, right? Like by not hiding it, they sat down and they taught me how to draw an 8, and they taught me the S method, where you make an S. I was good at S. Make an S and then do a line to connect the bottom of the S to the top of the S. And that is how I make my 8s. And every time I make an 8, and you make an 8 every day, right? Trust me, especially in like the month of August, I fucking hate myself. I'm so sorry. But every time I draw an 8, like I get like this weird sense of accomplishment, because it was something that was such a daunting task to me that I've now basically become a master of. And I hope that clerk, right? That young woman who like wrapped the present very capably and then came back and was so disappointed that it wasn't like magazine picture perfect, right? Which, as we all know, that's probably airbrushed and not even a real silent basketball in that photo. I hope that like she gets to a point in her life where she's wrapping things and she like sees how far she's come. As you often describe, playing the video game, going back to the first room and realizing that you are now a god compared to when the first Goomba killed you every single time. So that's me for a little bit. I got some other stuff, but Sejohn, what you been up to, buddy? How you been?
It's been good, just kind of just trucking along for trying to get through the summer. Honestly, man, I've been wrapped up in a lot of gaming stuff this week.
That's
the
awesome.
biggest thing is, the biggest thing is, did you hear what happened with Star Citizen last weekend? I think we missed it in our recording.
No, what happened with Star Citizen last week?
Oh my god!
I don't even know if I know Star Citizen. Let me look that up while you're talking.
Might actually been a couple weeks ago. I think I talked about it really early on in the early years of the show, because there was a really famous incident that happened where so the point of Star Citizen is it's supposed to be this ultimate space like management game. Like it's hard to like life sim / like resource management. So basically, like you fly around a universe, you land on planets, you pick up supplies, and the idea is that people will like become sellers of certain types of minerals or something, or they'll become traders of certain types, or some people have become pirates, which is where it became a real issue. When I was talking about it, 10 years ago or so, there was an incident where there was a ship that was a pretty expensive ship that was holding about $50,000 worth of cargo, like actual real world dollars of cargo.
Wow.
And it was about to get attacked. And so what it did was they did like basically like a light speed like warp and warped out of there so that they wouldn't get attacked. The problem is that they left behind their entire like platoon of like side ships that were there trying to protect it. And so like they ended up losing a ton of money anyway because the platoon got wiped. So in their efforts to save like some money, they lost even more, and it became like this huge like controversy. You have to go back and get like the full details on that one, but it was like a crazy fucking like 1 in a million chance thing, and like some of it was that like amateur players with that much money behind them felt like maybe kind of questionable at the time. But anyway, it's been in development for like 15 years now, 14 years at least. And the biggest thing about Star Citizen that you need to know is that it has never been technically released. It is still in beta, and it has been for a decade and a half. And all that time, they have done various methods of collecting cash from people. Everything from Kickstarters to fundraisers to early access to like unique ships that you can get that again cost thousands of dollars and stuff. And like, if somebody comes along and steals your ship, it's their ship now. Like they take your ship and they leave you in the middle of fucking space. You're fucked, right? So you spend like $2,000 to get this really cool ship from the developers, and there's a very good chance that you're not going to have it for the rest of your life, And there was this promise that was kind of baked into that, like it was going to be so raw and so real.
Yeah.
Well, so this week or this month, they released a kind of like a raid like level, right? Like okay. where you could get together and go in and get some unique stuff and then get out and go and explore the new part of the world and things like that. So they released that this month, and by all accounts, it's just a fucking nightmare of bugs. It is just a mess. People clipping through walls, people firing their weapon and it not registering, like you can see the gun is firing on screen, but the enemies are just not taking any damage type shit. Like just a myriad of those, like really like $1 billion has gone into this game. $1 billion fucking dollars has been collected and given to this game. There is no excuse for them to be releasing material 15 years in that looks like it has never been tested, right?
Yeah, of course not. Like I look when I look it up, it says it's been in development since 2012 with no set release date, and it's just like, oh, that's fun. But you're talking about like the natural progression of that style of game is like the raid like that, where you are forced to work together with other players in a multi-tiered attack. Sorry, like I don't just
no. So the thing is a mess, right? Like that's the whole thing. But it got even worse back on, it looks like it was August 5th, so it was a couple of weekends back. There's apparently like a weekly live stream that the developers do where they go in and they play the game, and they decided that they were going to do this particular raid on August 5th. They were going to sit down, and their whole thing was, we're going to show you how this is supposed to run in ideal like situations. Basically trying to kind of victim blame and tell people that, like, look, it's not our fault that your computer can't handle this type of shit. Like it like they weren't saying that exactly, but I can't, like, if you dig down into it, what more could they be saying when they were like, we're going to play it in ideal situations and you're going to see it works just fine? Is like, what kind of attitude is that? Like, that's great. It works in ideal situations. What the fuck about it is everybody else in the world supposed to do? But anyway, they sit down to play it, and 90 minutes later, they're mad at each other. One of them tells the other to like kill himself. Like it gets like
Jeez.
fucking, because it's buggy. They can't get shit done. They all get fucking wiped after an hour and a half of playing this thing. It's a team wipe, and they're just like they give up. They turn off the stream. They like walk away. It just went off the fucking rails. They saw so many of the bugs that they were trying to tell people didn't exist, and it was so bad. It was so bad, and like, again, $1 billion over a decade and a half in development. Like, there are people out there that have put thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars into this game. And this is the way that like they're treating people, like they're treating each other. This is the way they're treating their customers, because at this point they're customers. They're not just players.
Oh no,
like you've had them on the hook giving you money for 15 years. You are depending on them and they are depending on you to deliver a product, and you're just not doing it. And so like I've just been following the fallout from this, because it's been pretty interesting watching like watching even some of the subreddits that used to be like really apologetic for a lot of their bullshit. Like nobody can there's no apologizing.
That's indefensible. Yeah, like I don't know how you don't come back from something like that. So these people, they're like the people in charge. These aren't the coders of the game, I would imagine, right? These are like these are essentially, not to call them corpos, but they're like the guys in the suits are like, this is our game that we're selling. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're like in the trenches coding levels and identifying these things, right? Like, I'm trying to just get a feel for how that sort of situation, I guess, manifests itself.
Yeah. It's so if you think about the way the development teams work, right? Like there's always going to be like a team lead, right? And then there's going to be a bunch of people beneath them. Now imagine like you're a company that has billions of dollars to play with. Well, maybe not at all at one point, but millions of dollars to play with to do this. You have a lot of teams, you have a lot of team leads. And then maybe the team leads themselves have leads. So you have people that are like developers that maybe even started lower in the rankings and maybe way up. So I do get the impression that these guys have done some legwork on the game. That was kind of the whole point, is that it was supposed to be like these people that were in the trenches coming to show you a way, like, no, like this is how it's supposed to be played, I guess. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure what they were hoping to achieve, but like they were supposed to show people how it ran in ideal situations. And I think, honestly, more than anything, I wonder how much of it was like obligation because of the money. Like we need to show people that it does work. Like because if it doesn't work, what is this? Like we're talking to the point where it's starting to feel criminal. Like watching what happened in this live stream was so eye-opening that it went from feeling like, oh, those people are just throwing their money into a black hole, but that's their choice, it's their money, to now it's like, no, there is a legitimate issue of just like misleading people here that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Like what would have been worse is if they had some crazy stable build that was a lie. Right? Like it's almost better.
Well, right.
Yeah. It's almost better for them that it shit the bed in front of them. But the thing that I don't understand is, you and I, right? We're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. I know. I keep saying we're done with it, but like Senator Palpatine, it keeps somehow returning. But we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about one of the things that we harped on about when we finally got that game on our PlayStations. And that was the fact that the triggers just flat did not work. And
we did like testing.
Yeah. And we like sat down, tested different controllers, tested different consoles to see like, is it us? Is it something it is? And like legitimately, what I think I pressed the R2 button something like 40 times. And then it finally registered that I pressed the R2 button.
Yeah, we found that there was like a rate on it of like registering 1 out of every dozen times or something like that. Like it would finally register. It was just but that's unacceptable, right? Like
that's
press the trigger, it should do what you're supposed to do, right? Like that doesn't matter if it works 1 out of 12 times. It's supposed to work every time.
Yes, exactly. It's not supposed to be Sex Panther when 90% of the time it works 100% of the time. I think it's 80, but still. It should work every time. That's what you do testing for. And, like, it worked on other platforms. So very clearly it was an issue in the port from Switch and PC to the PlayStation platform. Like, and that game started as an Apple Arcade title, right? But we sat down, I registered a bug report, and then eventually, when they rolled out one of the updates, they had fixed that problem. And it felt nice that they had done that. But, like, we're just two guys in the basement, right? Well, I'm in the basement. You're in the basement too, right? When you're playing games, I don't want to assume that. I also don't want to give the show a new name because of an off-color comment I make.
No, I there's systems all over the house, but yes, I do have a lot of systems in the basement that I play on. Yeah,
right, but we're just two guys playing at our houses who identified this issue and did it. If it's a company like that, now first of all, they gotta be having bug reports because of just the sheer amount of players and the money that they're spending on this game, right? I find it a lot easier to swallow an issue with a game when I paid like $20 for it and it's supposed to be done, right? Like, okay, so, and like clipping and things like that. And sometimes, you know, the patch actually ruins the game. Like, look at Metroid Dread. I know we're not supposed to talk about Metroid Dread because it led to our only episode on YouTube that was flagged and removed because of things that we talked about that were not related to Metroid Dread, but I like to choose is because we brought up Metroid Dread. And it's just a very controversial topic. I guess we'll see what happens with this episode. But, like, the patching that they did to that game, like, ruined the fun of exploration that is a Metroid game. Like, the fundamental sauce behind it was taken out of it. But if you're the company and you're going to be like, everybody's wrong, these glitches don't happen, this is how you do it, you'd like to think that they did, like, a dry run of that before it exploded in their face, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like they did.
Well, because I think it comes back to what I was saying about them being middle management, is like they do have hands-on experience, but it's not hands-on experience with this exact material. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, this is a weekly stream that they do, and they do play the game. So, like, there is something about, like, they are in there playing the game pretty regularly, but it doesn't seem like this seemed like it was. To think that anybody in the room knew that this was going to happen, that cannot be the case. Like, if you watch that stream, the ways in which you can kind of see it dawn on all of them, like, there's this one moment where this dude starts kind of getting stuck in a wall and the animation just goes fucking haywire, and he's just like, "Don't look, everybody look away," and he's like, I think he means it. Like, he's like it's terrifying. Yeah,
and also, having people look away from something, the quickest way to make sure that doesn't happen is to tell people to look away.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's a shame to see it. I mean, it's not a game that I've ever played, but, like, it's kind of disgusting that in the games space, in the video game space, we still, like, allow for this stuff. It goes back to me talking about, like, I really like that fighting game that I'm still not going to mention the name of because I want people to play it once it's finished. But it's been in early access for 2 years. And legitimately, I don't know if it's ever going to move forward. Otherwise, like Haunted Lands, which has a 1.0 release, like, they're still making modifications to it because people are like, this game is balls hard. And it's like the kind of balls hard where, like, it's not fun. It's the type of thing where, like, when I beat a boss, you should maybe give me a save, like a checkpoint. And it's fine if that checkpoint does not persist if I stop playing. But I should not have to go back to the start of this level if I die again. Right? Like, just little things, little modern conveniences. I don't know. I mean, they made the concession, so who knows? Yeah. But it's a shame. Like, it's that whole thing.
Well, you know, there is something to be said about, like, nowadays they can see literal numbers, right? Like
Yeah.
they can look and see like, oh yeah, no, like 80% of people are not able to get past this part. Maybe we did make it a little too hard. Yeah, man.
Yeah, like I
was
think,
actually
like,
laughing about that kind of tracking shit because I've been playing the Telltale Batman's games, right? And slowly seeing the percentage tick down as I went through every chapter of like the number of people that had completed because you get, for anybody that doesn't know, whenever you play the Telltale games on PC, there's an achievement basically tied to completing each chapter, right? Yeah. And so watching as the chapters go by, seeing a smaller and smaller percentage of players that had completed it was an interesting view into things for a Telltale game.
And that same sort of tracking, right? Because that's the thing. As much as achievements make you feel good because of that quick release of dopamine in your damn brain, it's also so they can track the progress of the game and how the community is reacting to it. And I think one of the reasons why something like Haunted Lands ended up implementing a better like checkpoint system is the fact that of all the players, like only 4% had beaten the first level. Like it's like that sort of situation, and each level has 2 bosses. So, like, yeah. I beat the first boss, and then I was a little stuck on the second boss, like, for a little bit. And thankfully, there was that save system. It was a surprise. I didn't realize that it would save there. I figured that, like, oh, I'm stopping, and I'll come back, and I can get back to this because I know the beginning of the level. Luckily, like, the new save system was at least in place, so I was starting from that final area that ended with the final boss of the quote-unquote first level. I guess first area would be the better thing. But it was, like, people were talking about in the discussion, like, do you understand that, like, a bunch of people have bought your game and less than 4% have completed the initial area of the game? You need to consider that. Like, it's... And again, yeah. And Haunted Lands is like a $6 game. But they considered that. And the game was, I guess, gold would still be the term used, even though we're not going to have physical copies anymore, and gold related to when a video game was at a complete enough, like, percentage where we could start printing it on the discs. Like, is that term gonna even exist anymore? Are they even gonna fucking care? What will be the new, like, metric before a game can be released? I mean, I think a big one, right? I don't think that... I really want it to still happen, but I don't know if Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement is going to release in 2026. We just haven't heard...
You want to really get pissed off. Markiplier has a series of videos that he has done over the years of going onto Steam and playing the worst-rated games, and it is a lot of that kind of thing, where it's like $30 for a game that supposedly is released, and then you start it up, and it is just outright unplayable. And like, it's a series that like makes you angry. Like, you watch the number of games he plays. Like, I think he does, like, by the time he's done with it, 6 or 7 different games that he has got his hands on. And like, you know, 1 or 2 of them are just boring, but the majority of them are like just unplayable messes. And like, he pays money for them. Like, he talks about, like, he puts money, like part of it is that it needs to be a released game. Even games that are like in beta, or like they are released games that just don't fucking play. It was a very eye-opening series for me when I saw it, because I think he did it like 7 or 8 years ago. When I saw it, like, it was, you know, because it was kind of that early point for what was the Steam Greenlight or whatever it was?
The Steam Greenlight program.
Yeah, like that kind of shit was really kind of still relatively new and stuff like that. Yeah, and so like the idea of buying a game in alpha was like silly but not unheard of, that kind of shit.
Well, yeah, I remember like friends who bought Rust. Like, I remember Rust. Like, you should play Rust with us. And I'm like, yeah, I'll look into it, because I, you know, like, it's something that I'm like, I got to see if my computer can run it. And as soon as I booted up the Steam page for Rust, and it's like, this is an alpha build of an unfinished version, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get involved in that, guys. Thanks. And it turns out I kind of made the right choice by avoiding Rust.
Dude, there are other games made within Rust, like kind of like Roblox style. People can like take like the mechanics of Rust, and people have made other games with it, and those have been quote unquote finished and released. Take it for what it is, because they're not just mods of the game. They are like their own game that people are making their own money off of. I'm pretty sure that 7 Days to Die, the zombie game that we talked about a couple of weeks back, about that being kind of but we talked about how that is now released officially, and I'm pretty sure that's just a modified version of Rust, right? And that is out.
Yeah, it's just it's just so frustrating. But like I say that, like when is a game going to be considered finished? Because I have all of those experiences, right? Like you buy a game on release date now, you're essentially a beta tester for it. Right? Because there's no way that they can stress test the way that, like, we release this game and then we can do a patch if there's a huge game-breaking bug that's found. And generally, you just have that many people playing the game once it released, especially if there's even a modicum of hype behind it. They're going to find it. They're going to find the holes that need to be patched. It's why it's called patching, right? Is this that it's fixing problems on the fly. And they're the ones that people stumble upon. But then I also think about the timing, like how video games release going forward with the dissemination of physical discs is something that really interests me, because let's be honest, every game that was scheduled to release in 2026 is now trying to release before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. That's the new plan. The new plan is our game needs to be out before Grand Theft Auto 6. And you want to make sure that it has enough, like, breathing room that it actually has a chance to get some sunlight and thrive and grow. One of the reasons why I don't think that Bloodstained Scarlet Engagement, despite being announced June 4th, 2025 for a 2026 release, is not going to come out in 2026 is not because of the normal stuff that happens when it comes to, like, the Bloodstained games, right? They could shadow drop the Curse of the Moon games like it's their business. But when it comes to the big 3D ones, there are generally a lot of delays with the games. It's just the way that things happen to happen. That's what happened with Rotten. It's how I ended up getting the game a whole week early, because the store I went to did not know that its release date had been pushed back a week, and they just sold it to me. It was the best vacation ever. But like Scarlet Engagement, first of all, everybody is waiting until the end of November and the release of Grand Theft Auto 6. It's like the middle of November, right? Can you get the actual release date? I just want to... First of all, I want to have it in my mind because, again, we have plans for how we're handling it as a family, and I need to have that date in my mind. We should probably say it again on the show. But also, I want to make sure that I'm referring properly to, like...
Any weird spelling or anything?
For Grand Theft Auto 6...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Bloodstained.
No, they have not released. All they've said is that TBA to be released 2026, and they haven't given it
November 19th.
So yeah, it is November 19th. That's what I thought. Right? Nobody wants to release anything after November 19th. The only game that I think will be like big money styles that comes out after November 19th is the Ocarina of Time remake, and that's if Nintendo sticks to that.
But even then,
that's
Nintendo could easily stick to that. I think that is the kind of... I don't want to say you're talking about different audiences, because that's not necessarily the case. I think there's a lot of overlap between those two audiences if you think about the nostalgia factor, right? Like the same people that grew up with Ocarina of Time are the same people that grew up with Grand Theft Auto. So like I think there is a crossover.
The open world of Hyrule Field walked so that Tony Facchetti... That's, I think, Vice City. I don't know the name of the guy in Grand Theft Auto 3 because I've never played Grand Theft Auto 3. But so that guy could drive, right? You walked in the open field of Hylia so that you could drive around, the Grand Theft Auto maps. Like, it's a build. So the people who liked Zelda, they grew up to people who like Grand Theft Auto. And still, I think that Nintendo could get away because it's different lanes. opposites, right? Like those two cars are never going to run into each other because one of them's in the HOV and one of them's in the regular highway. And you could decide which one would be the carpool lane.
It's the same fallacy that we talked about with the whole Barbenheimer of it all.
Yeah.
Is that people were talking about, oh my God, these two movies are releasing side by side. And like one side of that conversation was talking about it as if like they were competing. And the other side of that conversation was like, no, the point is you can go and see both because they're movies and you're allowed to do that. Like video games is a little bit more of a price buy-in than going to see two movies within like a month. But like, there's definitely that idea that like if they're both important to you, you have access to them both. It's not like if you buy one, you're not allowed to buy the other.
The really like stunning thing about Barbenheimer for me, just as I've started to go to more movies this year, is the fact that the laser projection house at the local theater was like staggering the shows. Generally, the biggest release is the only thing that's in that laser projection theater. So it's kind of a nice litmus test to see what release each week Hollywood is putting their weight behind. Spoilers, I didn't see Super Troopers 3 or Paw Patrol the Dino movie in the laser projection theater. And that also has to do with the fact that it's still showing Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I mean, hard to argue with that. Man.
Yeah, right, exactly. But for Barbenheimer, the fact that it was Barbie Oppenheimer, that like they were taking the time to go up there and switch the hard drive between showings so that they could offer their audiences the best product. And again, there's a premium, right? Like I go on days where it's cheaper, but if you were going on like a Friday, Saturday night, the ticket to see it in that laser house is like $10 more. Like you are paying a premium to have the full Dolby Atmos sound, and you're paying a premium to have the best fidelity picture that you can using lasers. Like I know that what IMAX is IMAX and it's that, but like laser projection, the fidelity and the brightness, the blacks and the whites of it all, like it really pops in the way. Like IMAX is the film aesthetic of it, but like in our increasingly digital world, laser projection, I don't know what's going to be better than laser projection until they can make me be in the actual movie without a headset or similar. Right? Like, hey, now you Purple Rose of Cairo'd yourself. You Last Action Hero'd yourself into Spider-Man Brand New Day. Oh, look, Jean Grey took over your body and made you step in front of a taxi cab. Oh, that sucks for you. This movie sucks.
I gotta tell you, man, Wikipedia doesn't even have Ocarina of Time on their release list.
Yeah.
For this year.
Because, I mean,
so, like,
we got, what, a fart of a confirmation at the end of a Nintendo Direct after everybody was saying they're going to be remaking Ocarina of Time this year.
Yeah. You want to know my big thing that I got to keep an eye out for is Sega announced they're going to do an Alien Isolation 2.
That's incredible.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, Sega has been in the spotlight a lot lately. The whole Golden Axe animated series that's apparently coming, like
Amazon Prime, right?
I don't know who it is. I just know that there's going to be a show based on Golden Axe, and that it's not that somehow Sega returned, because Sega's always been there, but it feels like they see the current landscape and they're like, we can fill some of the gaps in gaming. And then to finish Sorry, no, go ahead. Finish your thought. To finish about the Bloodstained Scarlet engagement, because I feel like I keep getting distracted by other, let's face it, more interesting things. Then with the announcement that there's going to be an official continuation of the Castlevania series releasing in October of 2026, let's be honest, do you want to be the Pepsi to the Coke that is Castlevania? I want to say the Hydrox to the Oreo, but little known fact, sorry, I just heard myself claving there. Hydrox came first, and then Oreo perfected it. So everybody thinks that Hydrox are like the knockoff Oreos. Oreos are the knockoff Hydrox.
Man, there are so many good ones coming out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sega, they're apparently working with the guy with a animator developer from the Resident Evil series to make a zombie RPG game called
Yep.
Stupid Never Dies. That looks pretty fucking funny. But like, there's so many good like things still to come out this year. There's a fucking. Did you hear about the Barbie Rewind pack they're putting out?
Yes,
It's
I
gonna
did. That
it's gonna
looks
be
cool.
a bunch of like the old Barbie
I hate
games.
those games,
And,
but
man, yeah. Crazy, man. There's all sorts of good stuff. On November 19th, I would think the only other game that I personally I mean there is a Dragon Quest game later, but November 19th on the same day as Grand Theft Auto is the next God knows how many numbered release of The Binding of Isaac is coming out. Repentance Plus. That dude has put out so many versions of that game by now. I couldn't tell you like what number that is.
that's ridiculous. But it's just one of those things. So there's so little room for error in it. Like Onimusha's coming out the 4th of September. And then you have the Wolverine game is supposedly coming out in September, though. That just feels like a pipe dream at this point. People seem real mad at the Wolverine game. And not just because it's a Sony exclusive, and Sony is, by all accounts, doing whatever they can to kill physical media. Like, they are leading a charge. Like, straight up with, like, Crunchyroll no longer selling physical media and not being owned by Sony. Like, and I get it. You want to maximize profits, like, shortening your output, which costs money to create, that's the quick way to do it. And you know what? We already live in a space where there are third-party companies that are filling the gap, right? Arrow, when it comes to physical releases of movies and limited-run games, fuck limited-run games. I will always say that. But they are doing physical copies of games that were previously digital-only releases.
Yeah, there's always going to be those people that want to do that kind of stuff, specialty style, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, what sucks is that like, all that does is create like a gate.
Yeah, it allows for
it's gatekeeping. Like, if you can't afford to experience this shit, then you don't get to experience this shit, and that sucks.
Yes, exactly. And it also, knowing that there are third-party vendors out there who are picking up the load of you not releasing things physically, it sort of gives you the permission to do exactly what Sony is doing, right? But again, I don't think that we're going to see Bloodstained Scarlet Engagement. I'd be very surprised if Simon's Adventure, the oh my gosh, Programmancer game that is essentially a modern retelling of Castlevania 2, but like with actual good communication as to what you're supposed to do and a robust save system and like basically fixing all of the problems that are in Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, right? The Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest is the name of the game. And the demo is incredible, but like I don't know if I would be willing to like play in that same space. And it'd be one thing if those games had release dates already. Like if we knew that Scarlet Engagement was coming up in September, I would be in a rush to play it and beat it, so I was done with it before the Castlevania game that comes out in October. Ditto with the Transylvanian Adventures of Simon Quest. These are games that I am interested in, that have caught my imagination, but they are games that still do not have release dates, and I don't think, unless Belmont's Curse completely shits its pants, which a lot of people think it might, because they don't like the art style of it, and they feel like it looks more like Dead Cells. But they've confirmed, no, this is a Castlevania game. It's not going to be a roguelite. You are playing not a linear game, but you are playing an existing story. I don't think that means that after you beat the game that there won't possibly be a rogue mode or a randomizer, because we've seen that with other games, right? Bloodstained Ritual of the Night has a built-in robust randomizer feature. So, like, we're seeing that. But I just don't think that just with the games that are coming out, with the release schedule the way that it looks, and with VD Day, that is a terrible name for it. And with GTA 6 releasing on November 19th, essentially meaning no other games are going to be sold after that until 2027. And I know that's being hyperbolic, but honestly, this is a game that has been anticipated for longer than Duke Nukem Forever. Right? Grand Theft Auto 5 initially released on the PS3. What the
That's true, yeah.
It's
well, and like I don't, man. All this stuff with the leak this week and all that shit. Man, I don't know.
I know.
Apparently, Rockstar India, they're suspecting is the possible leak source. They're just trying to figure out like what to do about it at this point. And like I don't know. I am not a diehard Grand Theft Auto fan. I don't dislike the series. I think it, like there's a lot that it has done to push like narrative video game storytelling and shit like that. And like I think recently we even talked about the idea that there are mechanics in those games that I think are really cool and wild that they've developed over the years. And so like I'm excited that there's a new one, but with the way that people are getting like angry that they don't have it yet is a little weird.
Yeah. And I mean, part of that is just because the development cycle on video games now, right? Like we had a Mega Man game every year after 1987 through 1996. There was a Mega Man game released. The turnover on the Mega Man games, for better or for ill on the quality, right? We can debate the quality forever. And honestly, it might be even further than 1996. I'm thinking like just mainline games, and I'm including X in that. But like you think about like the side projects, Mega Man was a huge it's still a huge franchise, right? I'm eagerly awaiting the release date to be revealed for Dual Overdrive so that I can like plan how I'm going to spend that day. Because much like I did with Mega Man 11, I'd like to pick up the game early, and then I'd like to take some sort of transportation up to Laconia, New Hampshire to like play the game while I get there, and then get to have some fun at like Fun Spot. And then finish off with a meal at the turkey farm, which I cannot think of the name of that turkey farm. And you know what? That's okay. They don't need the free advertising right now. But it's a thing where, like, games used to have relatively quick turnarounds. But now, in the modern world, it's like 10 years from when a game is announced to when it's released.
Well, and I don't know if it's necessarily like the build cycle is any less or more. In fact, I'm sure that it's more now. But but there is also something to the idea that we just also didn't hear about games until they were closer to this shit. I don't know, and I don't know if that's better or not. But like,
no, discussing.
I don't know. I want to go back to the day of Game Informers and Nintendo Power and like and hearing about the games that the marketers want me to hear about, not that every other person on Reddit wants me to hear about.
Yeah, like having like an actual journalist side to games media was nice. And again, like they were probably paid for their stuff too. I mean, the people that we have now, like the YouTubers, they are totally towing a company line because they don't want to lose their early access and their free access to this content that allows them to play the games early and thus produce their content and have it out in front of everybody before anyone else. Right? Like, it's all a race to that. I was complaining about how weird it felt to me that Second Wind and freaking Yahtzee's new show was fully ramblomatic, that they were starting to do reviews of games prior to the game coming out. Because that just felt so antithetical to what was happening with Zero Punctuation. Where, like, he was covering games once everybody had access to it. So it was getting somebody who played that game alongside us telling us how the game felt. Not some curated, the game comes out in 2 days, but we got early access from the company. I don't doubt that he was getting early access back in like 2008 when I first stumbled upon Zero Punctuation like content. But I do believe that they were smart in not releasing an episode about a game until it had been out for a week or two. Because then, like, this is a person who got to play the real game, not some cultivated, curated experience that may or may not get broken by a day one patch.
Yeah.
Which also, to Splintered Fate, right, just to finish it, the game was already in its gold edition. It now has a platinum edition, which finishes the story. Which, one of my big complaints about Splintered Fate is that, like, I've beaten the game, like, 100 times. I have 100 successful runs, and I am no closer to knowing what the fuck is going on in this world. Right? And that's not even letting my Ninja Turtle mind run wild and rampant and complain about the fact that, well, if the punk frogs are there, it has to be post issue 100, which means where is Venus? Not Venus. Well, yeah, where's Venus? Because Venus was introduced along the punk frogs, but also where is Lita and where is Jenica? These are characters that exist in the world that you are set this game in, and they're not even mentioned. But, you know, here's Alapex to play as. It's weird that we got to play as Alapex before we get to play as Jenica. And also, having done all of the clears I need to do as Slash, I'll probably never play as Slash again because he is so slow. Like, all of his inspirations have to do with the fact that, like, he has a boost to his health. He's a tank. He has boost to his health, but he is slower. He has, like, the juice power-up that Casey has as his tool. That's his special. So when you do his special, he essentially becomes Hulk frickin' Slash. And he's, like, erratic, and he has a whole different move set, and he's stronger because he's angry. But, like, it's not like he's hard to control. He still listens to everything you tell him to do. He feels like the character that should have came out before Alapex, who is literally all of the best parts of the Ninja Turtles. She has the strength of Raphael, the speed of Michelangelo, the tool of Leonardo with the kunai, and the special of Donatello. She is legitimately all of their strongest things into one character. With Alapex alone, since they released this final, because I had done Alapex stuff on my PlayStation, but I got all this on Steam, I have cleared the game 10 times. I'm in a 10 clear streak with Alapex because it's just so easy to do, and I still have not triggered the end of her story, which requires, you know, random interactions with Karai that eventually lead to her realizing that Shredder is her bear in the darkness, which has to do with, like, before she became a mutant, when she was just an Arctic fox. Her whole family was killed by a bear from the darkness. And then that bear became Shredder to her. And it's an interesting story, but I cannot get it to trigger. Like, I've beaten Karai 10 times. And the last time I went through, I literally did every portal to make the game harder. And still did not complete this story thing. So who knows what, was it? Just something gaming. Super Mega Boss? Super Evil Megacore is doing with the game, because I don't know how they broke. Alapex worked when I did it on my PlayStation, not really working on Steam, so I don't know. But it also means that, like, the final area, you now fight the Rat King. Spoilers for Splintered Fate. And you know what? I'm not sorry that I said that before giving the spoiler warning, because legitimately, like, the final update is here, finished the story, reveals that it's been the Rat King the whole time. Like, the whole mystery of the game, no, it's just a Rat King. It's just a Rat King.
It's just been the Rat King.
Yeah. The bigger reveal, and spoilers, is that the Dreamer coin, like the voice that they hear that helps them, is the Rat King's sister from the IDW books, Akka, who's like a bird woman. So... But also the big thing, because, like, prior to recording, I have not beaten the Rat King. That's not necessarily true. I was playing the final thing because I wanted to, like, I've been doing Alapex stuff. I've been trying to get that. I went through a little bit of the Rat King area, which is a separate area. Again, I'd beaten the game at least 40 times on each platform. So I don't know if it only opens up once you've saved Splinter, which takes 10 clears of the game to officially save Splinter and, like, end that. I don't know what triggers the opening of the Rat King's area. My guess is saving Splinter. That would just make sense, right? since that's the whole, we need to figure out who kidnapped Splinter of the game. But going in, like, it's just like random gauntlet levels. It can be in any of the biomes, fighting any of the types of things. You choose something to make it harder on yourself. Like the 3 that I got was rats have a 200 hit point shield that needs to be destroyed before you can attack them. Or, you know, like you can't heal the entirety of the run. I don't remember what the third one was. Like, just to choose. I picked the rat one. Right? Like, oh, rats will be a little bit harder to kill. Because, like, most of my turtles are doing 200 damage with a single hit. So, like, 1 extra hit to kill the rats. Yeah, sign me up for that one. And I got all the way going through to a fight with the Rat King. And he was just... It was very similar to the end of Shredder's Revenge, where you're fighting Krang in the Lady Liberty, like, android body. Where that's there, and, you know, you have to do damage to it. But it's kind of just avoid damage from that until the opportunity where you can hit. Only there was no opportunity to hit. The whole thing is that the Rat King is in the background, swiping his hands, throwing things at me. And it's just, like, kill the waves of enemies. And at the completion of killing the wave of enemies, he takes damage. And then you warp to a different biome with different enemies. Fight this wave of enemies, he takes damage. And then when I completed that, I thought, like, oh, so I'm done with it. And you know what? They didn't have to give us anything, right? This game could have just been a play forever roguelike game, right? They could have made it so that you never even got to rescue Splinter, right? Like, they could have done that. They didn't. They've given us this. So I'm like, that was a little bit short, but I got to the Rat King. I beat the Rat King. Oh, no, I didn't. Like, there was a whole shop system. The big reveal that the shopkeeper in Splintered Fate is a shade of the Rat King, a memory of himself, an echo he left behind to offer assistance so that he could get the outcomes that he ultimately wanted from the great game. Like, that's interesting. Like, that's cool lore. That the chairman is just the Rat King. Not even in disguise, but like an echo of himself that he left behind. Like, that was cool. But it's like, yeah, no, you need to continue down and fight the Rat King again. And I'm like, so how long is this going to go on? Like, what is, like... So I took a break, right? Like, I quit the title. Turns out it does not save your progress. I learned that for everybody. So if you're playing the game, prepare for, like... You get to the Rat King, you think, oh, I'm probably done, right? Because it's not like it was a short amount of time before I was in the fight with the Rat King. It was about the amount of levels you go through before you get to a boss fight in the standard game. Like, it was like 8 different maps that I went through. Gating upgrades the whole time. So I thought, like, you know what? It's short, but, you know, they didn't have to give me anything. So I was happy with what it was. But yeah, so I don't know. So I will have finished it by next episode. And then maybe that will finally be the last time we talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate on the Say Report. But, like, that was a shadow drop. And I got to tell you, that shadow drops work for me in the game industry. Right? Like, Sejohn and I were just talking about, like, we wish those days where, like, a game's just suddenly out now. It's why Curse of the Moon works for me. Because I watch a Nintendo Direct and they're like, this game's available today. This game that you've never heard of before the Nintendo Direct that looks awesome, you can go download it right now. Right? Like, expectations and anticipation, those are the warriors of fun. Right? Because once you build up something in your mind, and that's why the gaming industry is so antithetical right now to enjoyment. Because you tell me that this game is coming, and I sit on my heels for 10 years, there's no way that game is going to live up to the expectations that I have in my mind. Avengers Doomsday? I am not excited for Avengers Doomsday. And it's not because I read the leak that literally detailed the plot point by point. It's because I've been waiting for Avengers Doomsday for a year at this point, and I still gotta wait for 5 more months before I get to see it. And I am tempering my expectations, but other people are not, Sejohn. And
I gotta tell you, man, after going into Spider-Man, having not seen a single preview for it, like I knew nothing going into Spider-Man.
Same.
And being so delightfully surprised by everything that movie gave me, I have taken the same approach with Doomsday. I just want to make sure that that there is something clear about the Doomsday of it all, by the way, and the Say Report specifically. I am fully aware that they pulled the whole fucking Tony Stark other person thing now, right? Like I don't know if we ever made that clear that they pretty much confirmed that at some point. But that was so like I know that much, right? And I know and I've seen a couple of like stills because it's kind of hard to avoid like headlines and shit like that. Yeah. But I have not seen a preview. I have not looked at a plot synopsis. I have not looked at it. Like I have no clue. And I'm gonna keep it that way. Like I want to go into that movie. I think that's gonna be my new rule for Marvel films going forward, is like I'm going to do everything I can to just not see anything. I know that I've always kind of said like I'm not a big believer in spoilers, but I don't think this is a spoiled thing. This is more about like what you're talking about. I don't want to get sick of a thing before it comes up. That's not the same as being spoiled. I don't mind knowing a thing or two going in, as long as I like get to see it within the next few months. It's if I have to sit on that shit for a year and a half. No good. No.
Yeah, it's not only that idea of like getting sick of it. It is that idea of like you see things and you start to build expectations in your mind. That's just how our minds work. Right? It's how we're coded, right? We look forward to things because it's kind of part of our survival instincts from like deep in our lizard brains, is like having things to look forward to, like a meal, like sleep, right? And now in our go dopamine world, right? The new Marvel movie, like our minds start to hype them up. And in our minds, right? The greatest supercomputers in the world, everybody has access to. It's your own brain. Right? And it does, and like imagining outcomes and things like that. So then when the reality comes to pass, there's no way.
Does that make my ego an AI?
Yeah, kinda. Maybe your super id. I don't know. The id, the ego, and the super ego. There's no super id. The super id would be fucking terrifying. Holy shit! I just like.
I feel that's the Hulk, right? Isn't that the Hulk?
The Hulk is pretty much the super id. When you think, oh, I want to like throw up. I like accidentally stumbled into the most terrifying like psychological idea I could have ever imagined. Sorry, apologies. But yeah, it really is one of those situations. Like look at One Night Only, right? Like that's why I didn't like One Night Only, is I wrote freaking 1,400 words about what I thought that movie was going to be. And even if that movie were all 1,400 words, if one thing were different, if one little thing were different from what I wrote down, I'd probably still be pissed off. As it is, I'm happy that they addressed that condoms would be more expensive, and that they addressed that, like, the idea of, like, we've created the disease and now we will sell you the cure. And the reason I bring up One Night Only is that last week I said I wanted to seek out the original script because the director Will Gluck, despite it being on the 2024 blacklist of best scripts that were not currently being made into movies, when he became the director, he rewrote that script. And I'm happy to report, I found it. I was able to go out and I was able to find the original script. And let me tell you, it was a better experience. Mostly because it just exists. It just starts. There's not a lot of build up to that. Like, it just gets to the moments that matter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I do think that, like, there is something to be said about less is more, kind of back to our last conversation about that particular film. This idea that, like, they left just enough breadcrumbs for you to want to know more about the world, but then didn't give you enough of the world, right? If they had not given you those breadcrumbs in the first place, maybe then it wouldn't have been such a big deal. Yeah.
Exactly, because those breadcrumbs, they were able to grow into bread plants. I know that's not how breadcrumbs work, but seeds is what we should have started with, but we started with breadcrumbs. Oh, man. If Hansel and Gretel had left marbles behind, they would have been able to escape from the forest. That's my new propaganda that I'm spreading.
Well, isn't it ravens that take it though, or is it crows?
Regardless, they leave food, right? They leave
Well, no,
breadcrumbs.
but the big thing is that if it was marbles, ravens would still take that shit.
That's true because they're
Ravens-
shiny.
ravens
You're right.
ravens take everything.
Now I'm going to look it up, right? Who eats Hansel and Gretel's breadcrumbs?
Oh man. Cool, man. Well, I've been chugging along on Batman Cape Crusader.
Nice.
It's just so good. They introduce some new new versions of other DC figures, Batman figures like that. That show is such a treat. I'm so happy that show exists, and and it's one of those things where they're not over promising too much within the show itself, so I don't feel like if it's not one of those things where if it doesn't get a season 3, it's gonna be hard to go back. Like this will be something. This is a show that is easy to go back to, and I feel kind of the same way about the original Batman animated series. It's Bruce Timm doing this one again. It's just like he did in the original, and like I think that Batman the animated series, and I guess the Justice League kind of animated world across the whole at that time.
Yeah, it just kept going.
Right, yeah, and like this idea that like you can go back and watch that stuff pretty easily. There's a lot of really cathartic endings to the storylines that they bring up. There's definitely some good like overarching problem episodes where like you get like 3-parters at the end of some of the later seasons, right? And like so it's not that there wasn't through lines that you needed to pay attention to, but it I don't know, there's something about the referencing something from like season 1 in your later seasons versus requiring that your audience remembers season 1 in season 7 of your show. Right, those are two different attitudes, and it rides that line really well. Like and the new show does that as well. Cape Crusader does such a good job of now even just referencing itself because of some of the stuff that's happened.
I can't believe I've only watched 2 episodes. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just there's so many other things that we're watching, and it's one that only Dale and I watch. So it's one of those situations where, and they did the whole big drop. I got to tell you, aside from Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, all of the shows that are doing a single episode a week are really working for me. Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, the fact that it is the Chuck Lorre, maybe this episode will be 18 minutes long, maybe shorter, makes that one feel it's great. I don't know if you've seen any of it. There's been 5 episodes now, so they're halfway through the season. I could have talked about it last week, but I guess I just wasn't thinking about it. Right, we were doing episode 500.
Where is it?
It was a big deal. It's on HBO Max, which so they're happy because they finally have a Big Bang property that belongs to them. It is so Sliders coded, it makes me want to go back and watch Sliders. And what they really did, right, it's Kevin Sussman, Lauren Lapkus, John Ross Bowie, and Brian Posehn legitimately for the It's Not TV, It's HBO Big Bang series, they got all of the best actors. That's what they did. Like, Kevin Sussman has always, I've been a fan of him since I caught the Broken Lizards production film Freeloaders on cable in 2012. Have you ever seen that movie? Because that's a movie that is fantastic. Like, they all show up in it in, like, random small roles. It's super fun to see Broken Lizard in it. But, like, 2012... they were at this point where they're like, we want to make sure that we're giving like opportunities to the next people. So like Nat Faxon's in that movie. Kevin Sussman plays, he's not like the main guy. The guy who ended up being
Clifton Collins Jr.
Yeah, Clifton
Olivia
Collins
Munn,
Jr.
Dave Foley.
Yeah,
holy shit,
it's
man.
a great movie.
Great.
I really love that film. I really want to watch it again too, especially after seeing Super Troopers 3 and just being like reminded of. They've done so many things. Going around because of Super Troopers 3, Kevin Heffernan and Jay Chandrasekhar were on a podcast and they were asked what their most fun experience was. And like, without missing the beat, they're like Club Dread, because we were given full reign of a 6-star resort in Mexico. And like the catch was a hurricane could come at any time and just wipe all of you off the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but you're just given like, here are the keys to this resort. It's hurricane season, so nobody's visiting. And they were like kids, like they were young at that time. So like you get to work in paradise. It's just been nice, like to look at what Broken Lizard has done, and then like to watch Kevin Sussman playing Stuart in Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, and like finally getting like a meaty role. Right? Like the whole time Stuart existed in the Big Bang Theory to essentially be like, yeah, they're nerds, but they could be nerds. They could be this guy.
I'm trying to remember how big his role was back in the days of Ugly Betty.
Yeah, I never really watched Ugly Betty, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I can't.
It was a good one. It was a fun one for its time.
Yeah.
It's definitely got some really weird things to say about, body shaming and stuff like that. And it's, so they like the trigger warning, I guess. Take that, know that going in.
Yeah. It's very of the time, to quote Rachel Ziegler.
But of the shows that were kind of trying to address it at the time, it does a hell of a lot better than some of the other ones. So
right, mostly because it was a show, right? So it was having a conversation with the audience. It wasn't just like a movie, here's our presentation. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's one that like I never watched it, but I had interest in it, and then just by the time I could have sat to watch it, it had existed for so long that I'm like, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll go to this. Maybe that'll be something I watch. Who knows? I have too much to watch. I just have too much to watch. But yeah, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. It's Thursdays after 9 o'clock, which is still crazy to me. And like, you're getting less than 15 minutes of actual content. Because it has a huge opening. It has a huge closing. So you're really not getting that much material. And, like, it made me thankful that Sliders was, like, 44 minutes long. Because you barely get time to, like, understand the, like, why of wherever universe they're in before they're leaving to go to the next universe. I definitely recommend the show, and not just because of the acting. They've done some nice, fun callbacks to the original Big Bang Theory. Like, Kaylee Cuoco and Mayim Bialik have been in episodes. Kunal Nair was in the first episode. Like, the only people you're probably not going to see in the show, and they've like established this, is Jim Parsons, who has like said, I'm fucking done with playing that character. I did the 7 years of Young Sheldon. I'm out. And they have a nice little moment where they're like, where was Sheldon Cooper? And they're like, oh, he's on Broadway right now in a revival of, and it's exactly what Jim Parsons is doing. That they said that like in one random universe, because the whole thing is that they have the device that allows them to, the quantum entanglement device or something like that. It's a quantum whatever. That allows them to move between the universes.
I was going to say what a wild thing to have like this sci-fi spin-off from that show. But then I think about things like the fucking transformation box in Family Matters, right? With Stefan Urkel.
Stefan Urkel? That
they kind of did that shit, didn't they? That's just kind of what happens sometimes.
Yeah, and honestly, the big theory online about Stuart Fails to Save the Universe is that they're playing like a D&D. That it's some sort of tabletop campaign that they're playing through, and that's going to be the ultimate reveal. I think that'd be a bit of a cop-out, but I understand why we live in such a strange universe. Sayerport Jr. just did their hot topic on Nolan's The Odyssey, and one of the big things that like both of them focused on, both of our younger siblings focused on, was the fact that you've never really gotten a Christopher Nolan movie that is fantasy in the way that The Odyssey is. He plays a lot in science fiction, not the other realms, and like, yeah, that's a good point there. That like so much of the entertainment that we have been consuming over the past 26 years, right? Like, let's say post 2000, right? The new millennium has been trying to ground itself in realism. Like, even the Batman movies, we never got like a Mr. Freeze or a Poison Ivy.
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, pointing some of that blame at Nolan, right?
Oh, yes,
because like
definitely.
I think the closest I could probably think of before the Odyssey would be something like The Prestige, but literally the prestige of that film is about the reveal of how none of it is like it's all scientifically done, right? And like some of it is science fantasy. So like with like the cloning shit, but you know, then the other thing is just twins. Like, but boom, there's an answer.
Yeah.
So like yeah, so like Nolan's never really dove into just kind of the magic of it all. So that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I mean, because he's somebody who's still like producing. He's still the director of the stuff 20 years later, right? What's it? Batman Begins comes out. It's super grounded in reality. Like how the Scarecrow scares you is super grounded in like it's a combination of all of these chemicals that would induce hallucinations in a person, coupled with him guiding that journey via like hypnotic suggestion. Like they like he took the time to scientifically explain away the Scarecrow's fear gas. Where in the comics it's like, oh, you smell it and you see your worst fear. We don't know. Why are you asking me what the chemical makeup is? Why do you want to see this like represented as atoms? No, you inhale it, it scares you. That's what it does. Where like he took the time to do that. And like even going back to like staying with 2000, the first X-Men movie, where it is a world where like people could just be born with superpowers. But they're like, but it'd be friggin' ridiculous if they dressed in spandex, right? like, oh, the leather's nice. What'd you expect to wear blue and yellow spandex? Kinda I did, because he's fucking Wolverine. Right? Screw you, Scott Summers. I'm glad that Gene killed you on that lake. I'm not glad that Gene killed you on that lake. Scott Summers, I weep for you. Even though I didn't like you in those movies, James Marsden made me care about you and made me cry for your death. But even then, like someone, because it is the 20th anniversary of The Last Stand, right? We did our very special episode a month ago. Which, I guess that's going to bring up something that we need to talk about before we discuss the very special episode that's releasing this week that I'm suddenly not looking forward to recording, just being honest. But, like, there's been a bunch of discussions about The Last Stand, about ways that, like, they had scenes that truly showed how powerful the Phoenix was that were too fantastic. I don't know if you've seen this deleted scene, but where... it's where Magneto in the movie that we've seen presents her with one of the guns that is like has the cure bullets in it, which they're needles. It's essentially a tranquilizer gun made out of plastic, and she deconstructs the gun and then threatens Magneto with like, I could stab you with these. Do you know what that scene originally was?
No.
Magneto gives her like an aluminum cup. Magneto uses his magnetism to float an aluminum cup to her. It's made of metal. It's a cup that's made of metal. I don't know exactly the chemical makeup of it. And she uses her powers to condense it into a star. Like she brings it down to its atomic level and then creates a fission reaction, like so that like the entire forest lights up like there's a second sun in the sky, and people who are too close to it experience radiation burns. And people are like, why wasn't that in the movie? Because holy fuck, I understand the threat of the Phoenix so much better than like, hey Magneto, I could cure you right now. And the people are like, because people didn't understand it. Like it wasn't like explained enough for, you know, everybody who was watching it to understand it. But also the idea that Jean Grey, the same Jean Grey who had to wear a leather costume 2 movies earlier, has the power to create a mini sun. Like that's almost like a bridge too far in a world that is talking about people who are born with superpowers genetically, and they're now existing a way to cure that, right? Yeah. Go back and listen to our episode, because we talk about how quickly it is rolled out in that movie and how, like, never. There's no way that in, like, the realistic world that X-Men has tried to build up to that point, they would just start giving that away on the streets. No matter how much fear they have for mutants in that world, like Warren Worthington II would want to make money on it. And we never hear about how much the cure costs. Even if it were subsidized by the government, he'd want to make money on that. And if not him, his shareholders and the board would want to make money on the fact that we can eliminate what is a huge problem, not just to the people who don't have who have powers, but to the people who are born with these powers that make it impossible for them to live within our society.
And I think you're just talking about the plotline of The Boys at this point.
Yeah, a little bit. And I've never seen The Boys, so I don't know if I stumble into it, but yeah. Jeez. Sorry, I just like really get into it. It's like this idea of like, yeah, we want everything to be realistic. I don't even know what that was related to, but it is. We need some like a basis of realism in our entertainment. Oh, this probably Stewart Saves the Universe and all that shit. I don't even know, but that's good. Ted Lasso season 4, pissing a lot of people off. Going back to the women's sports thing that we were talking about last week. I think it's fantastic. It's like they have not missed a beat, and the new coach that they've added fits in so well with Beard and Ted that it's like, I can't believe that she wasn't there in the first 3 seasons. That show's fantastic right now. I'm enjoying that. Have you, Sejohn, watched Lanterns? Did you watch the first episode of Lanterns?
No, I'm gonna let a couple of episodes build up, and then a friend and I have a date to sit down and watch it, because she's not big on the Lanterns lore and all of that. All she basically knows is the Ryan Reynolds movie that, it is what it is. But
funny you should mention that. Yeah, it's the first episode, I loved it. The whole family is on board. I'm like, we should all sit down and watch it and see if we're on board. There's just some great stuff in it. I don't know why the collective internet is losing their mind after the first episode, because I have a pretty good... I'm not going to... Since you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but I have a pretty good idea of what the structure of the show is going to be. And one of the reasons that I feel that way is that Damon Lindelof is one of the creators. So these people who think that, like, oh my God, an event happened, that means that it's set in stone. No, I'm pretty sure we're going to see flashbacks to before that event happened.
Yeah.
I'd almost bet on it. I think it's going to be a Young Rock sort of situation. That's what I can say. Nobody saw Young Rock, but the people out there who did know what I'm talking about right now. But that one's working. President Curtis, the first official spinoff of Rick and Morty. I mean, I say that, but like the anime Rick and Morty, I guess, would technically have been a spinoff too, right?
Yeah,
even though nobody
because it was a
liked
universe within one of the episodes, wasn't it? And then they made it into its own series.
Yeah.
But President Curtis, I gotta be honest. I think I like it better than I like Rick and Morty.
So do I. It's just fun. It feels like Rick and Morty, unfortunately, like kind of got up its own ass with the whole like, you have to be smart and this whole thing, and they've done a lot.
Dan Harmon of it all. Yeah. I love the guy, and I'm not like there is a criticism to be made about the ways in which he puts on the I'm the smartest guy in the room bit too much.
Yeah. But President Kurt, I mean, first of all, Stephanie Beatrice as the chief of staff is wonderful. I hate that I can't think of her name right now, but also the dean there, I can't think of his real name. As,
Jim Rash?
Yeah, Jim Rash. Jim Rash as like the Secret Service guard who is assigned to protect the president. Like, so it's already like two of the best people from Community, Keith David and Jim Rash, are playing President Curtis and his like top Secret Service agent. And then you throw in Stephanie Beatrix as like this new hire because it's so good. And like some of the episodes have been hilarious. Have you seen the Triangle episode? Because dear God, the Triangle episode it's like the third episode, which would track because 3
is the whole thing out. Did they drop the whole thing at once, or is it? Because it was just online, wasn't it?
No, that's also HBO Max. It airs first on Adult Swim on Sunday nights, and then at 9 a.m. Monday morning, it's available on HBO Max. I don't understand your streaming. I'm just gonna say it. I don't fucking get it. Why 9 a.m.?
I have been watching it a different way, so I was curious.
That's understandable.
What
That's
I was
fine.
missing out on.
It's a weekly release schedule, which again has worked for that one because each episode is not so dense. Like, I say dense, but I don't mean that as like a negative thing. It's just like there's enough content per episode that I feel fulfilled when I've watched an episode of the show. The way that we used to. I mean,
that is like to give Harmon a compliment. Like, that is also kind of the way that he works there. Is he directly involved with this one though, or is it a different team? I don't think so.
It's a different. I believe it's a different.
I mean, I'm sure he's on as a creator credit, right? Like,
yeah.
Having created the character or something.
Yeah, having created it. And then Rick and Morty in the first episode, that was so great. Like that small, like, yeah, we'll never see them again unless they get like season 2 and they need like a way to juice the numbers. Like, it was cute. It was a clever sort of, it's been very fun. And it's, again, just really talented people working together that just make it great. Like, that first episode was crackerjack. I really liked that first episode a lot. But yeah, like, it's all of these shows that are like single week release. Futurama's back single week, which is crazy because King of the Hill dropped them all at once for its second season of the revival series. Really enjoying Futurama so far. I did not think that was going to be the case, but a lot of the storylines are working for me in what will more than likely be the final season of Futurama until the next renewal. I think they said they're doing movies, right? I'm not sure, right? They're like Henry Winkler and John Travolta in The Wedding Singer, or at least Bobby's, ideations about what they're going to be doing in The Wedding Singer. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's been an enjoyable time. And then, like, I guess just like, so the very special episode, this is going to be quick because we're still going to do it. I don't think we're going to move away. But it was kind of fucking crazy to wake up on Monday to the fact that Hayden Panettiere, who is, by all accounts, the star of Bring It On All or Nothing, the subject of our very special episode for August 2026, had passed away at the age of 36 years old.
Yeah, like sucks, man.
It does. It just, oof. And it hit, and now, like, we're going to watch that movie that features her. I mean, the really crazy thing is the fact that both of the, like, main characters of Ice Princess, the Disney film, have passed away. Right? Michelle Trachtenberg and Hayden Panettiere are essentially the rivals in that movie. And both at very young ages. Like, I don't know what's going on with the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fucking awful, man. Yeah, no, it was really sad. I mean, because, like, she like, not that the value of her life is dependent on the work she left behind, right? But like, there is so much good, like, material. Like, she put out, I mean, the best stories, I would say, of the Heroes, like, universe revolve around the cheerleader, right? And then, like, she had an autobiography that had come out recently that she did obviously did the audiobook for. Like, that's what they do, and apparently that was kind of hidden for people too. That was really important. And I think that, like, we don't ever really talk about like the nonfiction autobiography world of books when we talk about books, but like, that is something that is pretty big around me. Like, I have a lot of readers around me, and one of the biggest genres that they read is that, and so, like, there are certain books in that genre that I think have come out recently, and I know have come out recently, but I think have some really interesting, like, healthy, like, kind of like reflective styles to them that I'm glad to see people reading that kind of shit, because I think that it helps people kind of do that in their own life, and so too, what we're talking about, like, hers is very much that. Like, her book is apparently just this huge reflection on, like, being a child star and what her life was like after that, and it's never pretty, right? Yeah. Wasn't bad. Her life was not, from what I understand, not like it was for some people in the industry, but still not fun.
I mean, did she ever have like a moment where she was hugely out of the spotlight? like I feel like she was always pretty consistently working at least through Nashville, right? Like
yeah,
that
because
doesn't
then she
mean that
went
it
on
was
and did
good.
Nashville.
Like I'm not saying that like as a child actor and being exposed to it, right? We've seen the terrible things that were happening behind the scenes at Nickelodeon, right? They have quantifiable proof of the things that were occurring there. So like that does, just because she was consistently working from the time she was very young, I would probably like put my hat behind something like Remember the Titans through to the end of Nashville, which I think was like 2018, right? How long did Nashville run? And then how long was she in Nashville? Is I guess
2012 to 2018 is the timing on Nashville. I don't know, but I mean, like, you know, I remember seeing her all the way back in fucking the Disney Sports one there with Denzel Washington.
Remember the Titans, the one that
Remember
I started,
the Titans.
Yeah. Hayden
like,
Panettiere was in all 124 episodes of Nashville. So like, yeah, and then like the time where I haven't been seeing her, right, I'll look at what she was doing, but like it's kind of the time where everybody sort of stopped doing stuff because of what happened with the pandemic. Like a lot of people just kind of fell. But no, she was Kirby
Did
Reed.
you have kids maybe at the
I don't know. She was in Scream 6 though, and then she was in a film called Amber Alert. She did Until Dawn in 2024. Like she was.
Yeah, that's the other thing is in the
yeah.
video game world, she had also done some stuff too. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's not one of those situations where, you know, just because she was consistently working doesn't mean that it was difficult being a child working in that environment. But it's one of those situations where, like look at Britney Spears or Amanda Bynes and the fact that, like, there was a time where we did not know where they were, and now we see where they are. And it's just like, oof. Just oof.
Yeah, no, I had a series of friends that when they heard the news, their big loss was Kingdom Hearts, and she had a pretty popular role in that too, man. Every fucking person I look at these days has Robot Chicken somewhere on their list. Everybody.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants to work in Robot Chicken, and they will accept anybody to be in it.
Yeah, they will accept anybody, and that show's been on the air for, what, 20 years now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, when did Robot Chicken start? Since I'm here. 2005. 21 years. Yeah, it's just insane. But yeah, like, so we're still going to cover Bring It On All or Nothing. And that's going to be like, it's a shame to see a life cut short when they're so young. So, but we're not going to shy away from doing what we do. Like, by all accounts, she's apparently great in that film. It invigorated a series that after Bring It On Again, they were hesitant to make Bring It On All or Nothing. And then they go on to make at least 3 other movies that I'm aware of off the top of my head. So
don't they eventually make a horror movie? Isn't there a Bring It On like horror sequel?
Yeah, I don't know if that's like actually considered part of it, or if it's sort of like a porn parody sort of thing.
Cheer or Die. Yeah.
I don't know exactly the words but I think like there's at least the In It to Win It, which is the Sharks and the Jets. Then there's the one that, like, is not volleyball, but I always think it's volleyball. I think they're cheerleaders for a volleyball team, which is why I get there. But then there's, like, World Cheerocracy. So those are the 3 I think about. And then, like, yeah, there's that 7th one that eventually, when we get to the 20th anniversary, we'll watch it because it's in the Bring It On series. And the Say Report doesn't know when to quit a bit, right? We should start putting that on the shirt. But yeah, so that's still going to happen. But it would just feel a little strange if we didn't acknowledge it in this episode that, like, you know, the person who's starring in that film that we had intended to watch and, like, talk about, like, just happened to pass away the day after our 500th episode released. Like, that was something. That was just a thing that occurred. Just weird coincidences in this world, Sejohn. Do you have anything else to add? Because I have a story I'd like to end this on.
No, let's wrap it up, man. What you got?
So, yesterday morning, like I said, I was visiting with Claude and Reagan, and they have a Target that's about 10 miles from their house. And I am still looking for one remaining TMNT Cross G.I. Joe figure. Bebop as Ripper of the Dreadnoks. I've not seen the Bebop figure anywhere. And every Target that I poked my head into this week had a restock of the TMNT Cross G.I. Joe figures. And I've seen everyone on the shelf now except for Bebop. And let me tell you, this is not related to the good story that I'm excited to tell about my time yesterday. But this morning, I popped my head into another Target, and they actually had the mailer from Playmates on the skiff. So I was the person who opened it up. Do you want to know what the pack out of 4 figures were in that box, Sejohn?
Was it? I mean, I imagine like a Krang or a Shredder, right?
Yeah. Krang and Shredder were in there, right? 4 figures. There are 9 figures in the line. Krang and Shredder were 2 of them. Who do you think the other 2 were?
Was it Bebop and Rocksteady?
No, it was Rocksteady. You nailed that. And then it was a single Leonardo.
Okay.
So I guess that Playmates is just randomly packing 4 figures into each box and sending them out, which is why they're having the semi-difficulty in locating certain characters. Because, everywhere I go, right, I get there right around opening time, there are 4 on the shelf. There's never any duplicates. It's always, 1 of each character. And generally, there's not a lot of, turtles. Oh, you know what? That's not true. I went to one and it was 2 Donatellos, 2 Rocksteadies. So it could just be complete blind box from Playmates to these people. And Bebop is not, you can't even say short packed, because in a loadout of 4 figures where there's 1 of every figure, that would mean that every figure is short packed. So I don't know. But so I stopped by, right? I got an early start in the day. I was able to stop at that Target near Claude and Reagan's place. And it was the friendliest Target that I have ever been to, Sejohn. Exotic Target or otherwise. Every employee. There was one who was in the middle of assisting another customer, paused to greet me and ask how I was doing. It was cool. It kind of felt like I was in the Stepford Wives or something. Why is everybody at this Target so helpful?
Unfortunately, what that probably means is they probably got dinged for something recently.
Yeah, one would hope it's not for that. But then the grand star of this is my cashier. It was an older woman, and when I say older woman, she was clearly just older than me. Her name was Melody, and I go through the toy section that and I find Ninja Turtles, but again, they don't have the Bebop figure that I'm looking for. But she, so I end up consolation prize. I buy a Blocky set from Transformers 1. I've been real into Transformers 1 since listening to us talk about Transformers a couple episodes ago. And they had a single Blocky model kit on the shelf. It's $6. Consolation for the fact that I drove to an exotic Target. I went out of my way. So I got this is my trophy, right? This is my prize for going to an exotic Target. So I go to check out with Melody and she goes, "Did you find everything you need?" Right? Classic cashier icebreaker. And rather than just as I thought about it and I go, I did, right? I did find TMNT Cross G.I. Joe on the shelf. I needed to do that to confirm that there are restocks that are out there and plan out my thing, right? I found this and that. So I go, yeah, I did. Maybe not everything I wanted, but definitely what I needed, right? It was a fulfilling visit. And without missing a beat, Melody, her name is Melody, she goes, "Well, you can't always get what you want." And I'm like, well, as the man said, right? Because she's referencing the Stones, right? She's clearly referencing the Stones. So then when we finish up the transaction, I swipe my card, I pay and everything, and she goes, but if you try sometimes, and I go, you just might find, and then we both hit, you get what you need. I had a sing-along with the cashier whose name was Melody. Straight up, Sejohn, I think I might still be dreaming. It was such a moment that would never happen in the real world, and it happened yesterday in the real world. And it just kind of like filled me with joy that even though things are kind of shit right now, that like an actual legitimate magic moment like that can still occur in the world.
Yeah, man. You know, take the wins.
Taking the W, man. And it was nice. It's nice seeing that like some people like to be at their jobs. Though you're right, they were probably dinged, and that's why they want to make sure they greet every client or customer or guest, whatever.
Or they've got that they've got that manager that's just the thing that they learned in business school, and they're going to drill it into every one of their employees' heads is, service with a smile.
Like, and again, and it was nice. It always felt genuine. It never felt forced. And like the one person who like was on like a call, like was moving a skiff, like I even got an acknowledgement from that dude. The one that felt weird though was legitimately mid assisting another customer, like, "Hi, how are you doing this morning?" Like, no. That's the guy who's your priority right now. You don't need to say hi to me. Like, it kind of felt like maybe a glitch into Matrix, just a little bit, that moment. But yeah, it was a good one. It was a nice visit, and that type of stuff, that warms my heart in a way that I need. And then I guess just teasers for next episodes. In addition to, I'll have finally completed the whole Rat King section of Splintered Fate. I want to talk about Skeleton Warriors, because I mainlined Skeleton Warriors this week. All 13 episodes. Because the Four Horsemen are like doing new Skeleton Warrior figures. And I wound up in a live stream where they call me Devon Decker Fact Checker. Because they thought I was an AI briefly. Because I just have so much knowledge in my head, Sejohn. It's kind of scary. And I got a lot of questions about Skeleton Warriors. A series, hand to God, about this that I really only knew as clearance toys at KB Toys 10 years after the show ended. Do you remember going to like a KB Toys in 2004 and they still had a shelf full of Skeleton Warrior figures?
Man, fucking Skeleton Warriors is beyond even my knowledge.
Right.
Like you're talking about the deep books, deep histories.
They're the deep histories. Crazy freaking show. But like, so many questions came up about it as I'm in that stream, and I still had the answers, like, somehow. And so I'm like, I should probably finally watch Skeleton Warriors, because I know a lot about it for a series that I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of. And I gotta tell you, it lives up to the hype. And honestly, as a show that only had a single 13-episode season, it tells a complete beginning, middle, and end story. So like, it's nice. Go check out Skeleton Warriors. Every episode is up on YouTube in 4K. There's some weird,
that's amazing. There's
some weird dithering like effects in some of them, but I think that's more from the DVD than the actual like capture. Because I've seen like a friend's DVD and I noticed the same sort of like everything goes into horizontal lines at certain times.
Yeah.
And on a modern monitor, you just can't ignore it. But yeah, those are my big things. Skeleton Warriors. I'll be ready to talk about it next week. We have a very special episode coming out this Wednesday. It's Bring It On All or Nothing. I almost said It is Bring It On Again, but it's the third one, Bring It On All or Nothing. So if you want to be prepared, check that one out. But yeah, again, anything else you want to make sure before I go into the final spiel, Siege, or are we good?
No, let's wrap this one up. Let's take it home.
So yeah. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can keep it going by joining us in our Discord. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Just navigate to us, type in the Say Report, go to the About section, and you'll see a Discord invite to join the Discord. And now's the time to join the Discord, because I'm going to be sharing a photo of me over the next 100 episodes in my Wrexham kit. And when you see this week's one, it's pretty good. I think I understood the assignment from Sejohn last week, where you can clearly look at the photo and say, well, that's photoshopped, but it's also a new photo. Maybe the letter of the law, not necessarily the exact assignment. But if you're not on social media and you want to join, you can always send an email to thesayereport@gmail.com, and we can facilitate you with an invitation. You want to see these photos of me in this glorious black and gold soccer jersey. You want to see it. They're called kits, but in case you don't know what a kit is, there you go. Plus, maybe it will make Rob Mack and Ryan Reynolds take notice of the show, which I think would actually end poorly for us. But who knows, right? Oh, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The first 2 episodes of season 18, they really didn't do it for me. Mostly because it was wrapping up loose ends from last season, which was not what I was expecting that show to do. I mean, they got continuity in Philadelphia, but not usually this strict. Sorry, back to it. But yeah, so you want to see me in this. You want to see the 100 photos of me wearing this. Just send an email to thesayereport@gmail.com. We can facilitate you with an invitation to join. But if Discord is too much like social media for you, we can also just communicate via emails. thesayereport@gmail.com. Send your emails to us. If it's for me, Devon Decker, or him, Sejohn Sarwick, just make sure that you put our name in the subject line so it can be distributed appropriately. Also, if you send emails requesting copies of the photos, I'll do that. That seems like a fun thing to tie myself to for the next 100 or so episodes. Why do I do these things, Sejohn? Weezer has a new album that I forgot to talk about. There's so much that happened over this last week, Sejohn. But just note that if you do send something to me or to Sejohn and we think it's worth talking about on the show, it will probably become content for the show. Only I or Sejohn will read what you sent to I or Sejohn, specified in the subject line. But, as with all content creation, submissions open themselves up to being used for the creation of content. And that's just an important thing to remember just across the internet, especially as it more and more is revealed that AI models are being taught how to be AI models off of just everything that's out there on the internet right now. It's kind of a scary world we're living in. All of that said, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. And William, please bring us home urgently.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.